right, let's talk nutrition. So we have to understand some terminology here. So malnutrition, it's a thing. The problem with malnutrition is that it's proper nutrients. So it's people that are lacking proper nutrients. They may be able to eat a whole bunch of food, but it's not very nutritious food. And then there's undernourishment. That's when people are eating too few calories to meet their own personal metabolic needs. So we have a lot of issues between malnourishment and undernourishment, even in our own country. You can take in tons and tons of calories. You can end up being way overweight for what you're supposed to be and still be undernourished because all that food you're taking in isn't necessarily nutritious and giving you everything you need. When we look at calories, calories are how we count the energy that's in food. And so you're supposed to intake enough calories to keep your body going, but not take in so many that you put on lots of weight, or not take in so few that you just shed weight in an unhealthy manner. So we've got water. It's got the specific heat capacity of 4.184 joules per gram degree Celsius, meaning that it takes 4.184 joules of energy to heat 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. So this is a standard reference point. So now we have this reference to calories and being 4.184 joules. And so a calorie is equal to that amount of energy it takes to raise 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. This quantity is usually small, and so instead of using a lowercase calorie, we will use an uppercase C for calorie. So a kilocalorie is the same thing as a food calorie. Okay. When we look at food, we can actually figure out the caloric value of food by doing something called calorimetry. All right, and so calorimetry lets us look at that energy there. And so we're able then to decide, okay, well, how many calories are in our food? And so one of the things that we look at is we've got this Q is equal to MC delta T, or if we're just looking at a bomb calorimeter, Q would be equal to just the C delta T, where C is the heat capacity of the calorimeter and delta T is the change in temperature. So there's a manufacturer that's making a claim about a dessert saying that there's fewer than 10 calories per serving. So chemist wants to test this. The temperature increases by 4.937 degrees Celsius, and there's a heat capacity for the calorimeter. So the amount of energy that the sample gives off, the number of joules, is equal to the amount of energy that the calorimeter uptakes. So let's see if the manufacturer is correct that there's fewer than 10 calories per serving. All right. So to figure out the energy there, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the Q, that energy, is equal to that heat capacity times the change in temperature. So we're going to do 8.151, okay? Now, here's the thing. This is in joules per Kelvin. Our temperature change was in degrees Celsius. But I can actually put that into 4.937 Kelvin because the size of a Kelvin degree and the size of a Celsius degree are the same. So delta T in degrees Celsius is the same as in Kelvin. Like if I went from 0 degrees to 100 degrees, my delta T would be 100. In Kelvin, that's 273 to 373. My delta is still 100. So I don't have to do any further conversions there. So what I'm going to get is I'm going to get 40.24 joules. All right, so we had this relationship between calories and joules. Okay, so I'm going to do my 40.24 joules. I'm going to do what's called a conversion. 1 calorie per every 4.184 joules. And so what I'm going to get is 9.62. Well, 9.62 is less than 10. So the manufacturer is correct. All right? So good job, manufacturer. You made a true claim. Okay? So our food labels are going to give us all sorts of information. We get calories. Sometimes we also get calories from fat. We're told how many grams of fat, how many grams of each type of fat, cholesterol, sodium, carbohydrates, and then that breaks that down into fibers and sugars and protein, and then it looks at our vitamin content. Okay, so we have to have these nutritional information labels on our processed food. So it lets us know what's in our food. Okay. I've seen some push to look at sugar more carefully. And so they've been proposing potentially new labels that would give even further indication as to the sugar. And I think we've started to see those. This is why instead of just saying, total sugars, now we see total sugars, but then how much sugar was added. So that second label B there, it says includes 10 grams added sugars. And I have seen these in the grocery store letting me know, like, okay, well, if there's 12 grams of sugar, and 10 grams is added sugar. 2 grams is already just there from the natural food, but then they saw fit to add in even more sugar because sugar is definitely coming out as a major player in needing to be aware of health concerns and everything. So we like to say that we are what we eat, and so when we look at all these different things, the water, the fat, the carbohydrate content, the protein content of various different things that we might ingest, okay, how does this compare to the composition of our bodies? Well, if we look here, we're mostly water, all right? We've got some minerals, some carbohydrates. They don't make up a whole lot of our body. We do have a lot of fat and protein though. So a 150-pound person, about 90 pounds of water and 30 pounds of fat. And then the rest is going to be made up by the proteins and all the other things. All right, so this is a basic overview looking at nutrition.